My name is Agnes.
My name is Alice.
Let's do this. This time last week, we were sitting at one of our favorite bakery / coffee shops.
Yes.
In Notting Hill. And you came out with this amazing idea.
Let's do a podcast. We're always having such deep chats.
And it's also asking each other questions that are not the questions that I find in like magazines, on YouTube, on Instagram. Like,
we're gonna go deep.
We're gonna go deep. Yes. The first question that we asked ourselves was, why do we want to start a podcast and what is the intention behind it?
Yeah.
So I think we just want to ask deeper questions when it comes to style, fashion industry, where we come from, the different points of view that we have.
Yes.
Although we have very similar values, the points of view are totally different.
So like
we
different experiences.
Yeah. So to explore that, it's gonna be a ride. Let's talk about Alice's journey in fashion so you can find out a bit more about Alice.
Ooh, it's a long one. Growing up in Latvia, fashion, beauty, modeling, all of that was just for like really skinny people, and I wasn't that. I wasn't.
Also, it was the 90s, right? So
yes.
It's like...
Yes. Like watching Friends and Monica being like, oh my God, like, what is that? And I was like, I wasn't even her size, you know? Yeah. So that's like a little bit of a reference point. But I was always so into fashion. I wanted to like model. I remember getting my first camera. My mom got it for me, and like my friends would take pictures of me, and like I really had this like passion for either modeling or fashion design. At some point I wanted to do that as well. And then I felt like I didn't have the confidence because, you know, obviously growing up, everyone's just like not telling you you're beautiful, you can do this. It was like quite the opposite. Yeah. So then I eventually just found a different way to get into the world with fashion photography. So that's my background. I think through years now, gaining more confidence, I have found that I can be in front of the camera as well. So I started fashion page on Instagram. Like that began my journey where I was like self-expressing, and I think like a big journey of gaining confidence is through social media. Yeah. As crazy as that sounds, I know it's like it can be such a toxic place, but for me, especially now the last couple of years on TikTok, I've gained so much confidence. I'm like, why not? Why can't I do this? Why can't
you like making TikTok work for you, not the other way around?
Yes, but it's a good tool.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing tool. That's what I'm saying. So you using it as like, no, I'm gonna take this and then I'm gonna use it for myself.
Yes.
Okay, for me, oh gosh, I think the journey also started a long time ago. I grew up with a mom who was a seamstress. She's in her 60s now, but she was a seamstress since she was 18. So since I remember, there was always like clothes. She was always remaking things. You know, I remember seeing things in magazines, and I didn't want to go shopping. I was like, I want you to make this exactly how it looks here, or I want to change this fabric to this. So I remember her making my first outfit. I was a Smurf when I was 6-year-old.
I love it. I love that.
That's where my fashion journey began. I was a Smurfette. But then growing up, it's kind of like I was always really aware of what clothes, like what role they can play in my life, you know, as self-expression tool, for sure. Then I moved to London. I was doing lots of different jobs. Then I ended up going to London School of Fashion, studied fashion design for a while. And then I decided the fashion industry is a bit too shallow for me. Left that.
But that's only recent though.
Yeah.
Yeah, so how many years do you feel like you were in the fashion world?
Oh gosh. So 8 solid years being a fashion stylist.
Yeah.
That was like, huge chunk of my life where fashion was.
And that's how I met you, like.
And that's how we met,
yes.
I was doing personal shopping for a while, and also seeing people and how what you wear can totally transform you as a person. Like literally in a click of the finger, it's incredible. So that inspired me for a while, you know, seeing people and they're like, oh my God, I can never wear this. And then you put them in something and they're like, oh my God. And it's the same with color, you know. And I think it's really interesting because I think in magazines and like what you said, a lot of people are seeing that and they're like, well, you know, like I'm not 6'5" and I'm not size 0 and I cannot wear that. Or on the other side of the spectrum, like doing personal shopping, I had clients that would want literally everything that was in a mannequin and they would want to put it together exactly the same. So it's like
copy paste.
Yeah. So the copy paste thing, when we just don't really think for ourselves and we don't use it as like creativity tool. So yeah, I think like that's the short condensed version.
Yes.
But we are going to go deeper into both of those worlds.
Yeah, this is just the introduction. Do you want to talk about like what we thought of each other?
Yes. Why don't you start? We're talking about the day we met.
Yes. I'm trying to recall it.
But it doesn't have to be exact outfit, because I came up with this idea of like, why don't we go back in time and then think, because I find it quite fascinating how like you look at someone on the street and within a second, based on what they're wearing, you kind of create this idea in your head about what kind of person they are.
100%.
Right?
Yes.
So that's why I was like, Alice, like, do you remember when we met? Like, what were your thoughts?
I remember being like, oh my god, she's really cool. Like, because at that time I was still very much like not into like my most confident self, I feel like. And I sometimes think back and like I would have loved to have you as a friend, but at that time I was like, surely that's never gonna happen, because you seemed so like not from my world, if that makes sense, in like the best way possible. Like, you had blonde hair though when I met you.
did have blonde hair, yes.
But even then you were like, I've told you this before, you have this like energy about you that's like just so like free spirit, like you just, you know, you're just you, like, I don't know, like this butterfly. And
I feel like that should be my nickname. For me, I remember meeting you and you had such a nice, like, soft energy, and I really liked it. And it also, like, you came across very authentic straight away. And I don't know if it's the fact that we're from the same part of the world, and you know, I'll find out with some people it's just like it's such an easier connection to create. Possibly. Maybe because our values are so similar. So off the bat I was like, yeah, I definitely. And also like visually, like I saw what you did obviously on Instagram, but also like when we started taking pictures I was like, I love the way that she sees the world.
Right.
So for me, I was like, yeah. And I knew you had such an incredible talent. So I'm like so grateful that we are friends now. And
me too.
We're creating this. And like what we said earlier, I think especially in the past year, like we're having a deep conversations.
We don't go like just touch the surface. Like we're like, oh.
Yeah. And I think it's important to ask like deeper questions. And and I think especially when it comes to fashion industry and the clothes we wear, because they are such a big part of our lives, like if you want it or not, like they really are. So I think in the next episode we're going to explore how, like, you know, the color has changed kind of what you wear and how you feel. And we also want to talk about, like, I want to talk about the sustainability side of it and how there was so much greenwashing and sustainability became such a, like, you know, trendy fashionable word to use, you know, and what does that mean to both of us? Because, you know, coming from different points of view of like having different sizes, even from that, you know, that changes a lot of like where we shop and how we dress and what can we do, you know.
Talk about like our inspirations as well.
Exactly.
So how often do you think we're going to have these conversations?
So we are going to have this conversation once a week.
Yeah, we'll see you next Thursday.
See you next Thursday.